představíme čtveřici ilustrátorů, který se letos účastní výstavního programu LUSTRu. Prvním prezentujícím bude Luogo Comune z Itálie, který vystavuje v sekci Zmár v budově A, hnedka u vchodu. So, ladies and gentlemen, we start with the third block of presentations, the last presentation block of today. The first speaker is Luogo Comune, an illustrator who is also, all these illustrators are part of our festival this year, and Luogo is exhibiting his work in an exhibition called Ruined, which is placed in the first building when you enter the area in the building A. So this is Luogo. Luogo, it's yours.
Hi everybody. I'm gonna share the screen, so like this, then I don't see anything else than my presentation. So I hope you see everything correctly. And first of all, thanks for inviting me. I'm really glad to have some of my illustration exhibit down there in Prague. And as Barbara correctly says, I'm an illustrator and I'm a mural artist. I've been painting walls since nearly 7 years, and I've been painting around Italy and Europe. Recently, I just came back last week from Oviedo in Spain, where I have been painting a large mural for Paris Fest. And as you can see in my work, what I try to combine is to work specifically with the place, with the site where I'm going to paint, and try to build a narrative storytelling between my paintings and the story connected to the place where the painting is realized. For instance, like in this one, you can see on the left the orange and green one, Firesland. For instance, it's a mural that I've done 2 years ago in a place in south of Italy, where like the problem of the waste of the deep into the ground of the waste, it's a really huge problem. And so I made some research, and I've tried to realize a painting that has a strong connection with this problem of the health of the people and the waste, put under the ground, illegally by the mafia and so on. So I think it's interesting. One of the big part of my work is precisely to work on this, to make my wall stronger in terms of composition, shape, colors, and also meaning. And here are some other walls that I have done around Italy. And for instance, this on the left, Furrows, it's been realized last year for Link Urban Festival in Brescia, in the north of Italy. And it's been realized in a neighborhood where after the Second World War, some people from Istria, from Croatia, came to this neighborhood and they started living there. So I try to recall the story, telling the story of Bora, the wind that comes from Russia and passed through Croatia and Trieste and so on. That it's a story where Bora, it's a female figure that she fell in love with this person, and then this person for some other reason dies, and she cries so much, and her tears become stones. So that's why I decided to take this story, that it's a Croatian story, and put it into in this Brescia neighborhood, because of the people who were living there after the Second World War. So these are examples of how I work, how I try to combine my style, my composition, the use of colors with the stories connected to the place. And here for another one, this small tower that is actually not really small. It's in Imola, and it's placed into a huge empty square that nowadays it's been used as a parking lot. But some years ago, the circus arrived there, and you could go to the circus. And this work is specifically about the use of the animals in the circus. And so I decided to tell, the story of this giraffe that in Imola once managed to escape from the circus and start to run away in the streets of the city. And sadly, at the end, it's been caught and it's been killed dead, sadly. But it was super interesting for me to tell this story that, of course, it's in a way funny because, there is this giraffe who is escaping from the cages of the circus, and also to underline how the importance of not using animals in the circus, in the circus show, and so on. So these are other works that I have done in the past years. This one on the left, sadly it's been cancelled a few years back, and because we had trouble with one of the people, one of the person living in the building, and so after a few years, they got removed, sadly. And so this is mostly what I do while I'm painting outdoors. That I always try. Another thing is that I always try to use the shape of the building. Like, for instance, you can see into this Bosgattia Republic, the one on the top, that I've tried to fill. Something that I like is try to fill every single centimeters of the wall that I have to paint, and also try to create a design that can integrate perfectly with the shape of the wall that I have to paint. So, because I think it's important thing, and also because in this way, the artwork you are going to realize it becomes unique for that specific place, and also for that specific building in the place. So I think it's something really important for me to make an artwork that it's really, really unique, and you can find it only there and only on that specific building. Probably if I would have done the same design, the same layout for this work on another building, would have been maybe the same topic, but with a different shape and design layout. So these are the other works that I have done abroad and around Italy. And parallel to this practice that I've been painting, as I said, since a few years, I'm also an illustrator, and I have been published a few books. And for instance, this one, that it's the great boat books. I translate literally, and that it's been selected. Some illustration that you can find inside this book that have been selected for the Bologna Children's Book Fair exhibition this year. And I think I'm more non-fiction illustrator. I think most of my books and my illustration you can find are connected with a non-fiction picture book, something that I really like. And it's really interesting for me to tell something, explain something, and discover and learn something through the images of a book. And I think it's a really interesting way of learning. So this was a topic that I enjoyed for a while, and then with the publishing house we decided, hey, why don't we publish a book about boats? So I made a lot of research, and I made a lot of sketches, and at the end I ended up with this book. That the funny thing is that every single boat you can find inside the book are existing boats, existing vehicles to travel around the sea. So I think it's another important part of my work, both indoor or outdoors, is the intense research that has been done before the project, even if it's a picture book or both, if it's a mural. And this is another non-fiction picture book that had been published a couple of years ago, and for the occasion, of course, of the 15th anniversary of the moon landing, with Editoriale Scienza. This book, it's also been published in Poland, and have found a co-edition in Poland. And of course, it's the same. The topic, it's space and lunar, all the moon mission. And it's also, as I said before, it's super interesting also for me, because I was interested in in space, in NASA and moon things. But of course, having the opportunity to illustrate something that of course, it's written by a person who knows a lot, gives also to me the opportunity to go deeper into some topic, that maybe that maybe when you're interested in something, maybe you start researching maybe on the surface instead. Working on a picture book gives you the opportunity to go deeper. And this was my old thesis from my MA in illustration at ISIA di Urbino. And this is another book my first picture book that I did 2 years ago, and it's the real story about the first woman who did who traveled around the world with a bike at the end of the 19th century. And I don't know how much time I have left, so please stop me when it's time. Or do you? Yes, you can see. Okay. And so, otherwise, I keep talking. If you don't stop me, I keep talking.
Completely okay. Completely okay.
So should I stop talking? If you
No, continue. We are,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We want
Because
to
I cannot
see
really. Okay, because I don't see anything except the presentation. So it's like I'm talking with myself, and so I don't really see any feedback or something. So, and this was a book cover I did. Actually, this project, I did this really cool project in 2018 from a online magazine called Napoli Monitor. That it's a magazine connected to Naples and the city, and some problems connected. It's really connected with the city, and also because it's run by two former street artists, Chop and Cuff, that are from Naples. They're doing this magazine, and they asked for 1 year to certain illustrator to illustrate every week the saint of the day. And so for a week you had like 7 saints to illustrate, and I remember I had the week of November that was also funny, because I had to illustrate by chance, by randomly, I had to illustrate the saint of my city where I'm coming from. So it was also like a funny coincidence at the end. And so I realized these saints, and of course research now about the iconography of every saint of the week I had to do. And after one of them, it's been featured on this book cover. So it was a really nice project, and even if I did a long time ago, it's a project that I really appreciate. I think you can, if you search, you can also. I think you can also find all the calendar with all the illustrators, and it's really, really nice project. And these are other stuff I did a long time ago for the Florence magazine. And this was some illustration I did for an article on La Leche, that it's a super interesting magazine from Spain, from Madrid, and it's a magazine for children, and it's really super interesting, and I had the possibility to realize some illustration and to this topic that was about it was this interview for with this American writer who first make like an investigation about how many children has been shot to death every year in US, and of course it's a super tragic situation, and but it's interesting how he tells the story and how he made the investigation. And it's a really famous, I discovered that it's a really famous writer, I didn't know. But it was interesting because also, I mean, this is my second time I had to collaborate with the La Leche, but it's also, it's very interesting how they try to explain certain topic for children. Because of course this article was talking about death and child and dead children, of course, but it's always interesting how this magazine, that it's a free magazine, you can receive it by post, free of charge, and it's really interesting how they choose topic for children. So they try to, of course, explain something that usually, it's something for adults, like the concept of death, but here they do it specifically for children. So it's really, I think it's really clever magazine. And so I enjoyed really. It's been a difficult task, of course, because talking about dead children for children, it's not being really easy, but it's been super challenging, but also super interesting. And this is another article I did some. Sadly, I don't have here the vaporwave fanzine, so I would love to show, but you can see some of the drawings are exhibit. So I would like to talk about the fanzine, but I cannot really. I don't think I have something here, so I will talk. But you can imagine it. You can picture something. Because I don't have here. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. And this is a series of illustration I did for a website, for a web article on a website. And it's about a greenwashing campaign that it's the most important petrol company in Italy. This greenwashing campaign that the company is doing cover herself from all the bad shit it has done into the past year. So it was also super interesting project because. It was such a long investigation talking about every different aspect of this greenwashing campaign, and it was not easy to illustrate, but was super interesting because, of course, also like this, you had the chance to. I mean, I didn't know about all the strange and dodgy business this petrol company has done with university, his connection with the school, with university, with the school in the south of Italy. And to cover, to maybe provide some helps for the school in order to cover the mistake the company has done with the environment in the past year. So it's been also super interesting to learn to read this article and then to realize the illustration. So these are other stuff I did a lot of stuff. And so I think that's it. I mean, as you can see, yes, I've tried to give you an overview on both of my side of my work, that it's both mural and illustration, and for me, a question that always people ask me is how can be, what's the difference between realizing an illustration on a magazine or on a book, and instead, you know, working on a huge, large-scale mural. And I think for me, it's not really a big difference, because in my mindset, I think, I don't know, trying to draw the correct illustration to fit into that in a text. For instance, I don't know, let's go back here. Like, for instance, here everything is squared, but doesn't matter. But, you know, imagine how to find the correct illustration to fit into the text you are illustrating. For instance, I think it's the same mental, I mean, for me, it's the same mental process that I use when I had to lay out a design for a mural. So of course, you know, one, you just stay on your desk and you draw, and the other one, you know, maybe it's more physical, intensely physical. But I think on the concept, for the concept, I think it's, for me, it's not really a big difference. So I guess that's it. And I don't know if you have any questions about my work, about everything, you know, feel free, and I will try to answer. Maybe I will stop the screen. I will stop the. Maybe I will.
Thank you
stop
very
the
much,
screen. I will stop the.
Luogo.
I will maybe stop sharing the screen. Wait, okay, stop share so I can. Okay, now I can see.
Yeah, do you see us now? Yeah, and do you hear us?
Perfect.
Cool. So
See. Perfect.
thank you very much for your presentation. Now I will give the word to the audience if there are any questions. No. Everyone is shy. Then I have a question. How do you choose the topics? Because I found there are some really strong topics that are very relevant nowadays, and I wonder how do you choose them? If there is some personal story behind that, or how does this happen?
Yeah, I always try to, as I said, to make a big research, and maybe find, if I can, you know, find something that can hurt a little bit, you know, or puts like some inputs, you know, like you can maybe, if you stop reading the image, if you like walking on the street and then you stop on a painting, and then you maybe start and see the picture, and then you maybe try to read the picture. And so I would like, the people to maybe ask themselves some questions. Or, I mean, it's interesting for me because it's a way also for people who cannot really see the wall in person, because maybe, I don't know, I've painted in the south of Italy, and then you see the picture on the website or on the social media, and it's a way to discover a story if you're not there. Or maybe if you are there, living there, maybe it's a way to rediscover a story that maybe you have forgot, or that maybe you didn't know even. You know, it's also possible. It happened to me that I was realizing a wall and about a certain topic, and the people came by, and we start chatting, and I asked them, do you know about the story that you know about this topic, you know about these things that I'm drawing? And even the people from the place didn't really know what was about, you know, what was the story. They didn't know, and say, so it's always interesting, this relationship, you know, to create storytelling, and, you know, maybe to to tell something, you know, that if you don't know, it's interesting to discover something new. Or if you have forgotten, and then you would say, oh yeah, of course, yeah, remember that legend, that certain story, and so on. So I mean, yeah, of course, I think it's important also, if you tell something, you know, of course, if you make a constructive critique about this living, you know, the times we are living. So of course, you know, if you had the possibility, I think it's important for me. I think it's something that comes naturally, and that I do every day on my life. And so, I mean, I think it's something that comes naturally. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you too.
If maybe there is someone who is shy to speak in English, možná, že někdo se stydí mluvit anglicky, já to klidně přeložím, jestli je otázka, ale je otázka teda. No, určitě. Díky moc. So the question is, what's your creative process? Like, what do you start with? How do you continue, like, technically even? And what's the creative process usually like?
Yeah, I do like a lot of research first, and I try to read as much as I can, you know, from the topic that I have to illustrate or to create a mural. And then I start sketching a lot. I do a lot of sketching, a lot of sketchbook. I'm really jealous of my sketchbooks, and I really like sketch everything, you know, all the ideas that I had after reading, after researching, after watching maybe documentary about stuff. And after that, yeah, I try to like dig into my sketchbook, into the process of drawing, and try to find the best solution, the best creative solution for the wall that I have to do, for instance. And when I have to do a wall, I always try to work already into the shape of the building, so that helps me already like to create the design into the wall, or if not, on a blank page for illustration, for instance.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Nějaká
Thanks you.
otázka? Is there any other question? No. Then I would like to mention one thing. I've mistaken you, and I said that Luogo's exhibition is in the building A, and it's actually in the building D. So sorry for this mistake. We put Luogo's exhibition in the comics part, where you can also find Marco, who will be speaking later. But for now, říkala jsem to česky? Já už ani nevím. Takže se moc omlouvám za chybu, že jsem vlastně řekla špatně, kde najdete Luogovu práci. Není to teda v budově A, ale v budově D, tady vzadu přes dvůr. Tak a teďka už bych, jestli tady je, ráda přivítala. So thank you very much, Luogo, and
Thank you too. Thank you too.
hopefully.
I hope the festival has been great. Maybe I hope next year to have the possibility to come. So maybe see you next year.
Hopefully, that would be very nice. So thank you for your presentation and goodbye.
Thank you too. Bye. Bye bye.
Pardon. Ale tady okolo jsou schůdky, to máš určitě lepší. Takže to tady připravím. So the next speaker is Pavla Zábranská from creative duo Prowl, which she creates with Seri Young. And Pavla is exhibiting here in the free illustration section just upstairs. Takže ještě česky dalším prezentujícím dneška je teda Pavla Zábranská z dua Prowl, který tvoří ještě se Serou Young. A předám teda Pavle slovo.
Děkuju. Dobrý večer. Já bych vám teda ráda představila Praul, já se jmenuji Pavla Zábranská, narodila jsem se v Praze, vystudovala jsem Vysokou školu uměleckou průmyslovou, obor grafický design a Královskou akademii v Hágu. A když jsem odjela v roce 2010 do Berlína, do studia Hort, tam jsem potkala Seru Young ze Soulu a dali jsme dohromady naší práci a založili jsme toto duo Prahu, což znamená vlastně Praha a Soul. Máme obě takový vlastně hodně podobný názor na grafiku, na ilustraci. Tady vlastně vidíte trošku příklad té naší práce, to Pra, to je vlastně moje práce, já dělám hodně takovou počítačovou grafiku a Sera OUL, ta dělá spíš jako kreslené věci a ruční ilustraci. Tady je teda vidět Sera, to jsme zrovna v Gangnamu v Soulu a začali jsme tady pracovat v Berlíně a tohle byla naše první společná práce, plakát pro jednu výstavu v Bruselu. My pracujeme takovým stylem, že si takzvaným ping-pong stylem. Vždycky začne jedna kreslit jednu část, pošle to té druhé, ta něco přidá, pak zase ta první přidá, druhá přidá a v podstatě to máme za chvíli hotové. A jako hrozně vlastně se nám osvědčilo, že se prostě ty naše dva styly doplňují a máme fakt i takový jako, můžeme pracovat i na dálku, můžeme pracovat spolu, i co jsme odjeli z Berlína do svých měst, můžeme pracovat během lockdownu, protože si to prostě pustíme po internetu a v podstatě doteďka po těch 10 letech na to máme vždycky prostě vždycky máme schodu a vždycky to vidíme stejně. Tady je třeba vidět ty dvě ukázky té naší části. Moje je tady vlevo a Seri je vpravo. A tohle my jsme udělali úplně nezávisle na sobě. Prostě tyhle ty dvě ilustrace, které v podstatě mají úplně stejné prvky, akorát jedna je víc kreslená, jedna je víc graficky počítačová. Takže pak jsme to dali dohromady do takové ilustrace volné. Tak. Tohle byl jeden plakát, takový volnější plakát, tady zase vidíte prostě jednu část, jak se to prostě společně prolíná. Tady třeba jsme dělali sérii ilustrací pro španělský časopis Ponytail, takže my jsme vlastně se zabýváme jak vlastně volnou ilustrací pro třeba různé časopisy, nebo děláme vlastní projekty do galerií, nebo děláme nějaké komerčnější věci. To vám potom ukážu. Tohle bylo třeba téma Zrození světa. Tady to byly další ilustrace pro zase jiný časopis. To bylo téma Fat Girl, takže to jsou takové cukrovinky, bonbonky, žvíkačky a tak dále. Tady jsme dělali třeba pro český časopis Nový prostor. To bylo téma Čechy, takže jsme si vybrali houbaření, český fousek, české plůtky. A bylo to taky zajímavé, že vlastně Sera úplně jako z jiného konce světa vlastně uchopila tady to jako české tradiční věci zase po svém. Takže tak. Pak jsme dělali třeba vizuály různých výstav, tohle bylo v Soulu, takže to bylo takový hodně abstraktní. Tady je vidět třeba plakát a vlastně výzdoba té výstavy, nebo výzdoba vnitřek té výstavy, jak to tam fungovalo, ta grafika aplikovaná. Takže my jsme tak jako na pomezí prostě grafického designu a ilustrace. Tady to byl zase jiný projekt v Koreji. Jo, a tady nás oslovila vlastně firma Nike na výzdobu jejich stánku na festivalu Bread and Butter v Berlíně. Zadání bylo udělat vlastně ilustrace volné ilustrace na téma basketbal, nebo ženy v basketbalu, prostě basketbal. Tak jsme tady udělali hodně obrázků na téma basketbal, kdy jsme používali nějaké jako výřezy z těch různých tenisek, nějaký detaily, co jsme tak prostě nastříhali, nakrájeli, přebarvili, takže z toho vznikla takováhle docela jako rozsáhlá série ilustrací. No, tady jsou prostě takový hodně volně pojaté basketbalové hřiště, míče a tak dále. A tady potom takhle to vypadalo v praxi, kdy oni tím vlastně polepili všechny možné jako části toho stánku nebo té plochy. A součástí toho byly i takzvaný jako technika hydrodip, kdy vlastně do těch jednotlivých ilustrací, které převedly jako na vodní hladinu, tak tam vlastně namáčili ty tenisky. Jo, tady je to vidět na levém obrázku. Takže se vlastně tam vzniklo i strašně moc takových jako autorských tisků na boty. Je vidět vlastně vpravo, co tam nějaká ukázka těch bot. No, pak k tomu jsme dělali nějaké jako hedvábné šátečky, prostě všechno možný a to prostě bylo aplikovaný ve všech možných stylech. A tohle byl třeba ten šátek, zase basketbal, míč v koši, zase je vidět. A jsou tam zase prostě detaily vidět z nějakých těch částí těch tenisek. No, tak potom se věnujeme i teda jako volné tvorbě. Byli jsme několikrát součástí grafického bienále v Soulu, Typo Janči, kdy jsme dělali různé prostě projekce. Ještě já vlastně i animuju, takže já to často i animuju a dělám k tomu i hudbu. Že tady to teda jako není se rovna vidět ani slyšet, ale tohle bylo třeba téma 100 umělkyň, takže každá umělkyně jakože měla svůj reprezentativní tvar, který se jako speciálně hýbal a ještě to bylo ozvučené. A bylo to promítnuté na 4 stěny. Pak jsme dělali třeba tady další projekce na tu výstavu. Jo, a poslední projekt byl vlastně, letos jsme měli první výstavu společnou, takovou vyloženě jenom Praul výstavu. Jmenovalo se to Praul the Capital a bylo to teda v galerii v Soulu. A právě z této výstavy tady nahoře můžete vidět 2 věci, které jsme tam měli. A mimo jiné tam byla i taková jako další animace s hudbou, kdy jsme, to vidíte právě tady, kdy jsme vytvářeli v podstatě vlastní jako hlavní město, ale v naší fantazii a v našem vidění. Takže z tohohle toho je tenhle ten obrázek. A nakonec ještě bych vás chtěla pozvat na naši webovou stránku praul.com. Takže to je všechno.
Are there any questions for Pavla? Jsou nějaké otázky teďka? Všichni se stydějí. A já bych se chtěla zeptat, jak jsi ukazovala ty boty, to byla normálně mramorování, takový ty olejové barvy na vodě?
Bylo to něco takového, já jsem tam nebyla, teda osobně, jo, ale nějakým způsobem se ten obrázek přenese právě na tu vodní hladinu a přesně jak to mramorování, no, ale jako netuším, jakým způsobem se to dá na tu vodu dostat, No, já jsem tam nebyla, bohužel, no, ale tak jako hydrodip to si najdeš a to jako asi není nějaký tajemství, co to je za techniku.
Já znám jako, že tam ručně jakoby namaluješ ty vzory, že jo, a vůbec nechápu, jak se tam přenese ta digitální, ale to...
Já to Já to tady nechci spekulovat, co to je. No něco asi, co drží na papíře, pak se to splácne něco na nějaký jako asi olejový bázi, pak se to asi připlácne na tu hladinu. Nevím, to jsem si měla vyhledat, že jo?
Tak my si to potom vyhledáme. Díky moc. Někdo se osměl k dotazu možná mezi tím. Tak moc děkuju, Pavlo. A dalším teda prezentujícím, tamhle zase určitě na schůdky, ať nám tady nespadneš, díky moc. A dalším prezentujícím teda bude Marko Quadri, který vystavuje tady v sekci komiksu, za dvorem zase. The next speaker is called Marco Quadri and he comes from Italy. He's friend of Luogo Comune, as we saw. And you can see his work in the comics section in the wide gallery right there beyond the art.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marco, and I'm from Italy. And I just want to briefly talk about the short comics that I've made in the last 2-3 years. And I've been mainly working either online with magazines or independent publishing. And so, yeah, this short comic that I'm talking about now, it was part of my thesis, which is a comic made by 7 short stories. And while I was drawing this, I got really into ants and social insects. So I read this essay by these 2 entomologists and learned more about the behaviors of ants. And also found myself in some like weird YouTube rabbit holes, and got interested in like how people collect ants and like nurture them, and yeah, it's very complicated world, and there's also like a black market for ants, and but yeah, to me the relationship between the person that has the ants and the ants was interesting, so I built a story around a person that has this terrarium with ants and has a ant colony, and basically the more the story develops and the more his relationship with the ants is connected, and eventually his life is like devoted to these ants, and they become one, and people go to see him and start studying their relationship until in the very end he gets thrown out by the ants. So he's like, I don't know how to say, but like they reject him, and yeah. And this other one is another comic that is still in the making. I never had time to finish it, but also comes from a research that I did about planet colonization and Mars colonization. There's these 2 really interesting books by Spector Books, which is a German publishing house, and this Planetary Echoes like investigates from like a philosophical point of view, economical and like environmental. So I don't know, I'm always fascinated by these big entrepreneurs like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, and how they are so involved in bringing humanity to another planet, which I think who cares? And but yeah, and so for me, like feeling always a sense of like precariousness, I try to like reflect on these two topics and like what it means to go to another planet. And this comic talks about facility that's in the Alps, which the Italian Alps, and how was the most extraterrestrial environment one could find, and basically nothing works, and there is this will to go live in another planet, but no one is really content with working there. And yeah, this is a Tesla Cybertruck. This one is actually part of the exhibition that's in the D building, and it's a web comic that I'm still making and try to publish regularly. And it's about a series of events that all happen in the same night, and there's not really a main plot, but rather various situations. And here again, the insects return, and I like to explore these articles about how climate change affects the lives of insects. So perhaps some killer wasps killing humans, which they don't really do, but or how the locusts are invading and affecting the environment, agricultural world. And so in this particular sequence, there's this person that is pretty alienated looking at online videos and documentaries. And it's so in his world and so afraid of like being on the outside that he wears some sort of costume to protect himself, even if he's just like going to throw the trash away. And yeah, this is the sequence. This one is actually just being published by Baobab, and it's the result of a residency that we did with the European project with other comic book artists. And after hiking for a week, we had to collect stories about the things that we learned, walking between Braumov and the Polish border. And so again, I was really interested in how they were telling me that the forests of Czech Republic are suffering from an invasion of these wood beetles, and they kill the forest, and it's out of control, and with the climate change is multiplying a lot. And yeah, to me it was the thing that stuck the most, walking along the landscape. And so basically my story is kind of a dystopic sci-fi near future story in 2046. And rather than being more of a traditional comic, it's just series of images that, I don't know, suggest a kind of a deserted land or a land with problems and complicated also political relationship with the territory. Perhaps this also came from the talks that I had with some of my mentors about the rapeseed fields, which are these huge yellow fields that are supposed to be like green power, but in reality it's just some sort of a scam. But obviously I didn't go too deep into the politics, but yeah, for me it's important to build this relationship of showing the people that are still there and talking about the stories and what happened before, and creating some sort of resistance to these problems. This is also part of our residency, and it's from an Italian anthology that we made. And it's a short story about my experience as a courier for a private company, which it was not too bad, but still it's not a great job. And so, yeah, it's just a series of images and recollections of what happened and experiences on the job. Perhaps this is talks about how so many packages of Zara are delivered every day, like 500 a day, and to me that was crazy, like how the consumerism of this fast fashion was working, and I could see it every day. This is the last one that I'm showing you, and it's from Dutch magazine that it's just coming out now. And I got really interested in meteorites, and I'm really fascinated by rocks. And exploring this topic, I found out about this documentary by Herzog and Oppenheimer that it's called Fireball, and kind of like Into the Inferno explores like various fields of science and people that study meteorites. And there's a really funny sequence of this scientist that talks about this rock, and it's called the doghouse. And it's called the doghouse because it actually fell through a doghouse. And it still has like the hair of the dog and the color of the roof of the doghouse, and yeah, the dog was sleeping in there, but it didn't get damaged in any way, so it's fine for the dog. And so this is just a short comic about some secret buyer that goes to this very fancy rock shop, and there's other like things that I learned from looking into meteorites, and I try to replicate the story, but mine talks about chickens instead of dogs. And also when we were talking about this story, we were saying like, oh, it would be funny if like a dog can sniff the rocks, you know, and like I drew this picture of the dog sniffing and finding the meteorite. And then in the documentary it actually said that somehow these rocks contain organic materials that the dogs can detect, and yeah, I thought it was funny. Maybe I can expand on that one. Yeah, this is it. But yeah, I don't have much else to say. So thanks, I guess.
So again, what are the questions for Marco? Are there any? Everyone is shy. Jestli to chcete říct česky, klidně řekněte, já to přeložím. Nikdo. Okay, so thank you very much, Marco. If you find some question later, you can find him in the bar when you are lucky. A posledním prezentujícím dnešního večera bude Simon Ecary. Simon vystavuje teda ve výstavě Zmar v budově A. So the last but not least speaker of this evening is French illustrator Simon Ecary. Simon is part of the exhibition called Ruined in the building A.
So my name is Simon. I do mainly comics and illustration, and I've self-published stuff. And so here is an image from a comic I've done for Jumbo Press, that is a Rizzo publisher. And I wanted to talk about the process of me making the images, and so here we go. That's another image from for Jumbo. Here is a comics I've done on Mars colonization as well as you, and it was about like poor people traveling to Mars, having their body changing with the speed, and then having their body tested to see if they can stay on Mars. So here I wanted to show you like how I do the sketches that are done with like many cut papers and papers that I shrink and augment through printer and then stick. That's like Control T on Photoshop, but analogic. And also the process of doing the colors that are like layers, but on different sheet of papers. And so here it's like every gray you see is a different sheet that I mix to get the image looking like this. Here is another comic that was about like sci-fi and how you can manage your time, and it's about a girl downloading an app that make her able to like live all the time she has to work or all the time she has to sleep in a same moment, so she can enjoy the rest of her life as like what remains. And she decides to be alone, but there's a problem with the app, and she's surrounded by people every time, and she's like trapped into it. And so here is like the same process than on the other picture, but here you have the color, and you see that like some things are made with pencil, some things are made with paint, and like all is gray level, and then I add the color. And so another thing I wanted to show you is like how I get inspiration from old school comic. Here is one from Lothar Meggendorfer, who's considered to be the inventor of pop-up books. And here is another one of him that is about Snow White. And what I enjoyed about his book was that he always has like really realistic and elegant human figures, and at the same time monkeys or dwarfs that allows him to show like how weird his drawings can be. And that's something I took as an inspiration for the comic I told you about before, because with this like travel changing the body, I could have like human looking characters and really cartoonish one in the same comic, and that's what drove me into making the story like this. And I made basically the same thing with monkeys for the same idea. Here it was a story about a castaway that has to live with the monkey and to make society with them, since there is no humans anymore. And here is another page from the Mars comic, and I wanted to show you like things I've stole from other comics. Like you can see the cannons and explosions are from Yuntugawa Norakuro, and the fight scene is from Carandache. Here is a pop-up thing I've made with a friend called Margot Farnou, and so this is 4-color silk screen, and there's nothing more to tell about it. It was inspired by like the old school pop-up things you can find as Lothar Meggendorfer, or as those ones I found on Gallica that used to be like kid toys. And with the aesthetic, I wanted something that looks like Antonio Rubino, which is like an Italian comic artist. Since I have nothing more to say, but the presentation may have to keep going, I thought maybe you can have questions and I show you books I love, and that's it. Okay, you don't have any question?
So I will just repeat for the people on stream. Yes, what the question was? What was the most difficult thing at the start of your career? Right?
My career hasn't started yet, so like I work in a school, and I'm still student, but I'm an old student. I'm still doing studies because there are materials and everything, but I don't have any clues for your question. Sorry.
And how do you imagine the start of the career?
One good thing in France is that you have a lot of social helps, and I think for the beginning it will be like part-time job and social helps, and but also there is a lot of independent comic scene, and you can get into fairs and meeting people, and I don't know if that's a way to launch a career, but that's a way to meet interesting people and do cool stuff. So I'm more focused about that than the career thing, which seems really far now. But
Are there any other questions for for Simon? Sorry. Yeah. So there is a famous festival in Angoulême, in France. In France, sorry. And the question was if you are interested in taking part in there.
I'm already doing it since I'm living in Angoulême. And yes, the festival is really, really cool. But Angoulême is like the comic city. Like nothing happens except for the 3 days of the festival. But it's really nice. And there is like the main festival and the independent festival. And I'm taking part in the independent at the spin-off that you may know. Nice. See you there. And so this book is called The Magic Boat, and it's by Tom Sedmanfred, who's Freud's nephew. And it's like a children book when you can change the character in the theater, and you can change the character in the panel. It's super cool. Any other question? Okay. This one is Fiorella. It's made as well by Antonio Rubino, who was doing this comic. And this one is only paint, and it's really expensive, so I don't own it, but I like it a lot. It reminds a bit of the Fletcher style in animation. This one you may know because it has been republished. It's Fletcher Hanks, and I think the publisher name of the new book is called I Will Destroy Every Civilized Planet, and it's not really good to read, but has some interesting visual ideas and is really crazy. This one is from a guy called Verbeek. I don't know when it was published, but I guess it's really like 20th century beginning, and it's a comic you can read like upside down. That's it. And here is another book that you may know that is called A Humament, and it's like a guy who painted over the text of an already written book, and that has made a new story from the text inside, and there are really different things in it, like here it's only paint, but sometimes it's collage, and the weird way he has to make the text makes it a bit poetic. Yes. Sorry.
Are there any more questions? No, so thank you all. Thank you, Simon. Thank you all for your attention. And I wish you all to enjoy the rest of the festival. Takže díky moc všem za pozornost, díky moc všem prezentujícím a všem vám moc přeju, abyste si ještě užili zbytek festivalu, který ještě poběží 3 celý dny. It will take more 3 days, so enjoy and bye.